Good afternoon. This is Marianna from WoW Lexi Fiscal. I'm here to welcome 5 lovely ladies, 3 entrepreneurs and 2 professionals to talk about what were the influence of attire on the perceived professionalism of women in business. I'd like to welcome Bosina. I'd like to welcome Stefania, Martina, Stacy, and Vanessa. Good afternoon to all of you. The way how we are going to discuss today around the topic is I'm going to ask each of you a question that is relation to this topic, and the way how we like to have a conversation is like in a club between friends, so feel free to ask each other any questions. So I will start myself, and and afterwards I will leave you also the chance to speak with each of you all the time. So let's start with Bosina. Good afternoon, Bosina. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm very well, thank you.
Bosina, I'd like you to introduce yourself quickly to the audience, and I would like to go straight to the topic.
Sure. As Marianna said, I'm Bożena Jankowska. Currently, I am the founder of a sustainable luxury women's wear label called Bożena Jankowska. My key focus is, the key focus is all about producing classic wardrobe pieces for women that they can wear to work or every day. The focus is on craftsmanship, quality of materials, and sustainability. With an emphasis on tailoring. And I've launched this business or this label in 2017. Prior to that, I worked in sustainable finance for 16 years, where I ran a global team of 8 analysts. I was responsible for managing $1 billion under management. I was a portfolio manager for a short period of time. So everything I do is always focused around sustainability. And so when I left the city or in finance in 2016, I decided, what did I want to do? And my passion was always about creativity, about fashion and sustainability. And so I put these all together into my label, Bożena Jankowska.
Yeah, thank you, Bosina. This is very interesting because, as I said here, for the topic, we are talking about the influence of attire and the perceived professionalism of women in business. So definitely for the kind of job you've been in the past, of course, you know exactly what a woman wants. And actually being in a male perceived in a male industry mainly, how did you experience the influence of attire of a perceived professionalism for a woman in business?
Yeah, it was actually a bit of a mixed bag in finance. Obviously there were women, although they weren't in the majority in the office. But what I found is there were different types of women. There was one group of women who had the work uniform, and these were very classic, dark colors, quite masculine looking type of, not masculine, but I would call it more like a work uniform, that they didn't have to think about, no coordination, just be able to go in and do, and comfort for them was key. Then there was another group of women who, for instance, were a little bit more thoughtful about how they dressed. So more coordinated pieces, accessories, perhaps pretty scarves. Tailoring was always a key thing for them. They always wore a lot of blazers. And I fell into the latter group of ladies who tended to kind of think about how they style the wardrobe every day. I didn't wear the conventional work uniform, so I didn't always wear a dark trouser suit or a dark skirt suit, trying to with a shirt. I always tried to vary what I wore, and what I wore to work, certainly speaking from my own personal experience, always reflected what I felt that day. And how I wanted to feel and what I was doing. So if I was doing an important client pitch, for instance, obviously I would dress appropriately for that. But for me, dressing for work was all about confidence, great quality clothes that I could rely on, that wouldn't fall apart, wouldn't crease too much, would fit well. And clothes that I knew I could have in my wardrobe for quite a while, for many years to come, in fact, and which I could accessorize with different things depending on what I wanted to wear them with. So if you were to look at my work wardrobe, you would see blazers that I wore and jackets or skirts or dresses that I wore for many years, but I just dressed them up in different ways. And I'm sure we're going to get to this a little bit later, but I did have comments at work about instances at work or examples of work of men commenting on what I was wearing at any given time. But I'm sure we come to that in a discussion later on.
Interesting. We look forward to explore more about this. Thank you very much, Bozina. I think it is interesting for that, especially from Stefania's perspective, because Stefania is a personal stylist, and she styling women in business and women in their normal life. So please, Stefania, feel free to introduce yourself and to just jump into the topic. It would be great to hear from you.
Yeah, yes, as you said, I'm a personal stylist, or I like to define myself as style coach and founder of One of a Style. I launched my business in 2015. And before that, just like Bozena, I was working in a corporate environment, but a bit different in fashion. And I worked there for 10 years after a qualification in fashion design. So what I do basically, I like to say that I help people refine their image to enhance their success. And I do that by advising them on the best colors and cuts and shapes to wear, not just to enhance their physical features, but also their personality and suit their lifestyle. I rely on many things that Bozena said. It is really important, for example, to feel confident. And one thing that I do also with my services is to encourage people to express their personality as well. So even if you work in a corporate environment where you have some dress codes, it is absolutely important to try to not just feel comfortable with your clothes, but also to try to feel yourself, which many people just underestimate, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, this is a very important because, as you said, to enhance and refine your style. And that's the key, in my opinion. Each of us is unique, as you say, one of a kind. I remember your claim, and definitely that is going to be very crucial in order that you can stand out for yourself and the way you are. I guess you got women in business clients as well. So how do you advise them in order that the attire for them is not going to be perceived like no professionalism? Because I think this is very important for a woman in business, be stylish, glamorous, but in the meantime, not to be too sexy sometimes, or to be seen like someone too crazy, but sometimes is part of our personality to show our own, creativity or our sense. How do you balance that for a woman that would like to be glamorous, but in the meantime be perceived as professional?
Well, good question. So yes, I work with women in business, and women in business doesn't mean formal. So people don't necessarily have to wear formal clothes to look professional. This is a very important point for me. I work with all sorts of women in business, even actresses, artistic people, but also people who work in finance, or they are financial advisor or accountants, and need to wear a bit more formal attire. So what I do every time I have a client, I really try to understand who they are, what they do, what is their environment, and what requires in terms of, if requires anything in terms of dress code. And then also try to understand what they like to express. So what is the message they want to give through their image, because it's really important. And so every time I consult someone about a professional style, I create a board and I mix and match all this information to create a unique style for that person, And as you were saying before, it depends on what we want to express. Obviously, if someone work in an office, in a corporate environment, maybe they do accountancy. Now I say accountancy, but there are lots of different jobs. And they need to obviously respect some sort of dress code. You need to follow those lines, but there are always, you know, ways that you can do to express your personality as well. And one of these is the color, for example. You can find a blue suit. There are lots of shades of blue, so maybe you can find a shade that enhance your physical features and also your personality. You can find even just some details, and there are lots of different cuts and shapes that can enhance your physical features as well and make you feel more confident. And when you realize what is your key style, your key professional style, where all these elements match together, you truly stand out.
Definitely. In fact, for this, I would like to talk with Stacey, because talking about colors, Stacey is really the queen in that, because she is creating beautiful handbags, and I think the expression of attire through accessories, or with an accessory like a bag, make a big statement. And what is then your perception, Stacey, for the attire of a woman that is in business and wants to appear as professional as possible?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with what Bojana and you know, and some of the other people were saying about trying to express your style through work. I spent 10 years working in finance before I started my handbag brand. But the reason that I left finance to make bags is because after my 10-year career, you know, I was living in, you know, shift dresses that were quite plain. If I wore something that was even slightly, you know, I was working in banking and in hedge funds, almost only with men, and things that I thought were still quite conservative. You know, people would say, "Oh, are you going somewhere tonight?" I'm like, no, this is just what I'm wearing to work today. This is very similar to the dress I wore yesterday. It's just a different color. But you know, that's kind of how I fell in love with accessories, because I think it gave me a chance to sort of fit in with the acceptable formal dress code that was really conservative and still evoked professionalism. But then I could carry something that expressed my personality, which is why, you know, I love color. And I think it's quite easy to add little bits here and there to show your own personality in your outfit. So.
This is interesting, because also I think it's all style is personal. Even you are coming from the same country and you have a culture, you have your own style. But for example, always, and maybe is a question open to all of you, about the fact that, for example, Stefania specifically, as she's Italian, she's got you know, the experience in Italy, and then she had to style women in London. They are coming from everywhere, really. So how hard is for you, especially Martina, Stacey, Bozena, and Stefania, when you need to meet someone else's expectation style? How do you combine your own style in terms of what is your product, which is identical, it's a particular style, in order that it can be perceived like the one that could be meeting the client expectation? Are you working on the values? Are you working on sharing your story? What is really grabbing the attention? Looks like I'm running out already. My time. So what's gonna be the key element for you in order that you can open a conversation with a potential client? Because style is personal, yes, to be interpreted, but how do you sell basically your style in order that you can get the client coming along with your style? So I'm asking Bozena to start, for example.
Let's start me off. So very quickly, I mean, I'm conscious of time. I guess for me, that the core of everything is, and this is something that I carried over from my corporate career, and I think of anything in life, is just to listen to people and really understand what is their story. Because ultimately, I could be designing blazers, but if I design for blazers you know, or my clothes without really understanding the woman I'm dressing, then I might as well be wasting my time. So it's me trying to understand the woman that I'm dressing. What are her needs? What is her lifestyle? Is she looking for something specific for a specific occasion? So it's always listening and just trying to get as much information on the back of that. And you know, listening to what are her concerns, what are the challenges for her when she dresses, you know, and just asking as many questions as possible to really paint as a full picture of who she is, what she likes, what is her lifestyle like, to them to be able to give the right advice. That's really the starting point. And once you start to get an idea of what that actually looks like, you know, you can then start looking at, you know, what the options are that you can offer her that meet those specific needs and requirements that she may have or she has. You know, whether it's, oh, I'm looking for a really, I'm doing a really important client presentation or client pitch. I'm looking for something specific, or I'm starting a new job and, you know, I need to look different, but I still need to fit the kind of, you know, dress code. So you explore those opportunities and you look at what is available. I mean, what I tend to do is I have in the past, and this is something I'll be rolling out shortly online, is I do have a fabric library. So women are able to choose fabrics from my fabric library, depending on what it is that they're looking for specifically. Or when I design a blouse or a pair of trousers, I think about, is this woman able to wear this to work, but at the same time, is she also able to wear it casually? So she doesn't just have this as a specific work uniform. So really just trying to understand the lifestyle of your customer. Who is this woman? You know, what does her life look like? Where does she shop? Where does she go? How, you know, what is the career? And then basically matching those products, so envisioning it. And then when you talk to the customer, once you understand what the story is and who she is and what her lifestyle is like, you then start looking at matching the products to her specific needs. So whether you do like a mini style consultation with her, you know, maybe you get her to try on a few pieces, see how they fit, see how they look on her, whether they fit her body shape. You would look at all of those aspects. You know, does it fit her color, her coloring, as I mentioned, her body shape, and just really try and understand that. And I mean, there are different blazer styles that will meet different blazer, that will meet different body shapes. So if you're short, you would want a shorter style blazer, which doesn't, you know, go all the way to your knees. If you're slightly taller, you want a different style blazer, etc. So you need to take all of these considerations into account. So for me, it's just the key is listening.
Yeah. Now, for this reason, I think Martina. Hi, Martina. Hi. Martina, for example, talking about colors and for what, of course, Bozina was saying about the style and the kind of expectation of style that she's trying to meet for the clients. What is your challenge when you need to style, not style, but of course to address the design of your hats?
Hi, yeah, so thanks. So I'm Martina. I design hats which are very much for everyday use, and of course hats are always there. You can wear them as day to day, but then maybe with my hats sometimes they do feel a little bit in the evenings. I can easily dress up if especially lately I have, for instance, clip-on veils or something. But I think the key challenges often when clients come to me is about them understanding which color suits best for them, because and it was interesting to listen to the earlier discussions about that a lot of women think in order to mean business in the corporate world they have to dress dark blue, black, gray, you know, very muted colors, and I think when it's interesting for me when I meet a new client, they sometimes come with the perception, oh, I'm only looking at blue, and then when I show them, for instance, a hat in mustard or in some other colors which are still muted, you know, it's I realize if somebody wears a blue suit, they don't want to have the pink bowler hat on to go to the office, but is that a little bit daring a little bit more with colors, which is I think where I can persuade a lot of clients to look at them afresh. And I think with color particular is quite an issue about, you know, I meet a lot of people who are a bit afraid to try out a new color, because a lot of women get set in their color which suits them, and especially if they're working in a corporate world. And then actually it's really refreshing for them to see, oh, actually this little bit different tone suits me very well.
Yeah, and here also Stefania is saying has yes with the head, because I guess it's a big challenge. For example, me, myself, I work for a tax law firm, so basically it can be seen like being very professional, but I have realized that when you show yourself through the style, they feel like you are more human. So they're expecting from a tax law, and Stefania helped me last year with some photo shooting. And eventually we were indecisive. Remember, I was going to wear a dark blue suit or a bright blue suit. I was comfortable with both, but me looking at myself, I realized that the dark one was really wash me down. So we went for the bright one, but because it was expressing my personality, not being boo, but it was literally, I was feeling more comfortable in that, instead of me being imprisoned by a blazer where I was not expressing myself. And I think is really the key. So the professionalism, for my experience, is important to have the right attire, but color can make a huge difference in expressing your personality. So still be yourself, but be professional. I would like to hear from Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. How are you?
Hi, Marianna. Yes, I'm good. I feel very privileged to be in a virtual room with so many stylish women. I feel like definitely the least stylish out of the lot of you. So yeah, I'm taking this all in and taking notes as I go.
You are beautiful, as stylish as you are, so you don't need to think where you are. So beauty is the first key. So you can be as much style as you want, but beauty, you can enhance your beauty, but you're beautiful as you are. So you are in marketing, so basically you have the ability to sell brands, makeup, the beauty of brands and products. So how do you see from your experience? I think you got experience with brand in fashion, correct? So we are back talking about what were the influence of attire on the perceived professionalism of women in business. I was talking with Vanessa early on, asking her as a professional, a marketer working for brands in fashion, what is her experience and what was the beauty of that experience and how she perceived this topic for her own experience, and if she would like to share with us.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a step back from that question actually, and just kind of explain my personal relationship with style and fashion. So style has definitely played a different role throughout my career. Sometimes it's been really important, sometimes not so much. And I think that from what Bojana, and Stefania were saying earlier about matching fashion and style to the lifestyle and the personality of the person is really, really important. For me, I've worked in marketing for 10 years in London in different capacities. And some of those roles, being really stylish, has been very, very important to the way I feel within that role and the way my confidence is portrayed. I was working in one role for a long time where being fashionable was quite competitive in the office. We all had to, we didn't have to, but it felt like we all had to be quite cutting edge in the way we looked and felt. So at that time I was spending lots of money and lots of energy on buying new clothes and having personal styling sessions, and since then my lifestyle has changed completely. I started my own business, and my kind of relationship with style turned around once again. Since starting my own business 2 years ago, the way I dress is more for performance. So before the pandemic kicked in, I was always on the road, so I would always have my backpack on with my laptop in it, so that was really important for me. Always wearing trainers because I was on the tube, I was going from client office to client office, to meetings. So my relationship with style completely transformed. From the way I looked mattered a lot, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, fashion has to work for me in terms of the way my business works. So that's kind of my personal relationship with style is always in flux. And I mean, God knows what it will be like when we come out of the pandemic. I feel like I've lost all sense of style and just constantly in stretchy trousers, but we'll find out in a few months, I'm sure. So it was really, really nice to hear about the other ladies in the group and how you match someone's energy to what you select for them. That feels like the best approach, rather than selecting what's on trend at the moment. So I mean, as someone who doesn't necessarily work in fashion or work in the style industry, learning from you is amazing for this session. And sorry, going back to your question, Marianna, about working with brands. So the way I work, I run a small marketing agency, and they're mostly B2B companies, a lot of tech companies. It's all kind of business based. So, but what I find is it's not what you're selling, it's how you sell it. So it's all about the benefits of what you're selling rather than the features of what you're selling. So you might have a blazer, but you're not going to talk about, you know, the type of fabric and what that means, and oh, it was really expensive, it was sourced in Italy. You're going to talk about what that means for the person who's wearing it, or how does it make you feel? Is it comfortable? Is it lightweight? Will it make you feel confident? So I feel like whatever you're, as a marketer, I always think about the end goal, what you're selling and how you kind of package that to make that person feel good, rather than thinking about the binary facts about that product. So although I don't work in fashion, I feel like the principles of marketing don't change. I hope that's helpful. It's all about kind of the benefits and what you're giving to that person, rather than just facts.
I think, yeah, and maybe, of course, Bosena, Stacey, and Martina can see my point. Eventually, you're talking about benefits in the when you sell services, and this is exactly what's happening when you sell clothes. What are the benefits behind that piece of blazer, the blazer, or the hat, or the bag? Basically, you are giving a story, and you are making them dream of a world, or making them welcome in a new world. And I think that is a sort of benefit for the who is producing a good in fashion. So, and I think also Stefania, when she's selling their services, of course, as she has a service to sell, and the benefit is to find out the best way they can feel themselves wearing a cloth that is expressing their style and their own makeup, really. So I think eventually marketing is the way how you package the benefits, and it is the same for a clothing company. It can be an accessory, it can be anything really in fashion that is making you feeling that you are embracing some benefits, and you are making yourself comfortable, because that is really the ultimate goal. Talking about then the influence of attire on perceived professionalism, you as individuals, do you have a perception of professionalism when you see women dressed up in a way, or wearing, you know, something different? So I'd like to hear from Stefania, because of course she is the one that is very attentive to the details for the kind of work she does. So I'd like to hear from you on this particular thing.
Well, it's all about standing out once again. And I think we really need to be, as I was saying before briefly, we need to be really careful that our image is aligned with our personal brand and with the message we want to give. So I just talk about me because it's the easiest thing to do. I am a personal stylist. Obviously, I don't have a dress code. And once again, I don't have a label, specific label to wear. But what happens is that, and so let's say I have the freedom to wear whatever I want, don't I? But what if I present myself in hoodie and trainers and maybe with my hair not groomed and not accessorized? Even if I have the freedom to decide what to wear, this doesn't mean that I can really wear whatever I want. I still need to represent my brand, my values, and give the right message. My message is you can that I am stylish, obviously, that I have sense of style, and also that I can look amazing even if my body shape is not perfect, because I don't have a perfect body shape. I mean, perfectly balanced. So this is the message I want to give to people. Not everyone needs to follow my lead, needs to dress and wear what I wear. On the contrary, on the opposite, I always encourage people to find their own way to express their personality, the style, and the message. But this is really important. And I always say to my clients, whenever you have the chance to show yourself and to talk about yourself and your business, you need to feel like you are the ambassador of your own brand. So never give up, and always think about it. Hope this is helping.
Yes, you did. The point that I think maybe is also something generational. So I think me and Martina, we are the oldest ones in the panel here. And I think the new generation are more free, especially nowadays women. They are more free in terms of expressing themselves. In my generation, instead, you need to have a blazer, even you have the suit complete, the blazer and the skirt, the blazer, and especially in Italy, you are the most professional one. And to be honest with you, when I was working in Italy and I found ladies that were a little bit not casual, but too provocative at work, to me, it was not professional at all. So I have this kind of mentality because of the heritage. I was, an accountant before, so I was in a male-dominated world, and to us, the dress code was important. So blazer, be like a uniform, so you can have colors, blah blah blah, but not too much. When I was starting, when I was in my late 30s, I started seeing women in the late 20s. I said, wow, they are brave. And I was judging, I had an opinion, but I realized that they were actually freer than me because they were able to express themselves. I don't know about London in the perception about that, because eventually working still always in the law industry, we are a lot, or in finance, like Bozina and Stacey did in the past. Of course, there was a sort of dress code, but I've noticed that a lot is changing. The trainers with the skirts, for us, especially Italians, is unbelievable. We couldn't think of that at all.
I know.
Exactly, but I found very trendy. I find very feminine now. So I think fashion is also a fashion. Fashion is a trend, following the trends, and I think could be is a nice way to explore ourselves through the attire, still being professional or being decent. Of course, that is the key, in my opinion, no vulgar, and in the meantime expressing ourselves. So I think that fashion now is the right place for everybody who wants to be still professional and having a blazer, but with a little, be also hectic, wearing other things like accessories, which are a little bit hectic and stuff, but still you need to find out the balance. For this reason, for example, for Martina, which is German. In my opinion, we have, for example, the preconception of the fact that in Germany, like in London, they are very conservative. How do you see, because you are German yourself, of course, how do you think is progressing their way also in your country, the approach with fashion, embracing more colors, embracing more creative style, or you find still quite conservative in business? I'm talking about women in business.
I think Germany particularly seems very conservative in the business style. When I see, you know, obviously it's only small time. I spend any time now in Germany, but when I'm there or watch the news and hear women talk who work in business, it's a much more conservative style, I think, than here in London. There's and I think it's interesting for me to see that in Germany, wearing a suit, especially a trouser suit, seems to be the corporate style. Whereas in London, I think a lot of women definitely dare much more to wear a skirt or dress, maybe a dress with a blazer. But I think it seems more liberal, and I think, and particularly in the last few years, I think dressing for business has massively changed, much more so in the UK, in London.
Wow.
You know, than in Germany. I think Germany, it's still a very, very conservative office culture, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And it's particularly, one has also seen this, for instance, in the pandemic recently. You know, I think the here in the UK is like is a whole new, I don't know, wardrobe emerged from managing Zoom calls and the balance of working from home, etc. That's not present yet in Germany. I think in Germany a lot of people still have to go to the office even throughout the pandemic, and very much dress very conservatively.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for this tip. For example, Stacy here. Stacy, hi again. Stacy, you were born in New York, correct?
Yeah, I was born and raised in New York. I worked in Manhattan for a few years in investment banking before I moved to London. Also in banking, and then in private equity, and then at a hedge fund in Geneva, and then also in London. So kind of, you know, worked in corporate in a few different cities. I think that it's also a little bit difficult to make the comparison because, you know, no matter what we say in terms of people having the freedom and ability to wear what they want, you know, we all judge everyone, whether at work or on the street, you know, based on what they're wearing. That's first impression. And I am sort of a believer, and I forget who said, you know, make sure that you wear your clothes and your clothes don't wear you, right? And I think that especially in sort of a business corporate environment, that it's so important to, of course, express yourself, but at the end of the day, you want people to be listening to what you're saying and looking at the work that you're putting forth. And if they're distracted by what you're wearing, then unfortunately, that's all they're going to remember about you. And I think that when you are first starting out, where, you know, when I was in New York, I was just out of university, I was working in banking, I was very much in, you know, that expected uniform. You know, I was in skirt suits, trouser suits with blazers, striped shirts. I remember in banking, everyone had to have a Thomas Pink shirt, you know, so we all went to Thomas Pink to get our shirts. And that was what was expected. And that's what you did, because you were just, I mean, granted, we were in the office like 85, 90 hours a week, so nobody was really paying that much attention to what we were wearing. But, you know, that was what was expected of you. And if you wore something different, I think it would call unnecessary attention to what you're wearing. I think that obviously has loosened up a little bit now, but I think there are still sort of rules, if you want to say, when you're a junior person, that you have to see what people around you are doing and adapt that to your own style, because you want your work to speak for it yourself. I think when you get older, you get more confident, you can get away with a bit more, right? And I think you can style yourself a bit more. And then, you know, then you could wear the brighter colors and the different shapes and what it is that expresses you more, because now you're higher level, right? And you can sort of demand people to listen to you and not pay attention to the clothes so much. and you want people to notice you when you walk into a room and things like that. So I think it kind of changes depending on where you are in your career, and it also takes time for you to find your own style as well, right? Your style changes, you know, as you get older. So I think, yeah, I think it changes, and I think it's dependent on industry. Obviously, if you're working, you know, in fashion or marketing, like Vanessa was saying, if you're working at a place where, you know, Devil wears Prada and everyone needs to wear the flashiest new designer stuff, well, then, you know, you don't fit in as well if you're in plain jumpers and whatever. But I think it depends, really.
I totally agree with you. I was stranded in the Caribbean for 40 days a few years back.
Stranded?
Stranded.
Is that the right word?
Yes,
You're on
stranded.
holiday.
There was an hurricane and everything, so I had to stay there. Well, eventually 40 days, always in your basically shorts or lining, something very light and everything, was fine, beautiful, but I couldn't concentrate in the work. Basically, also I think the attire to be on it, if you need to be in control, you need to have an empowering outfit. Depends what you are. For example, if you are on a blazer and you have to all day be behind a desk, it's not comfortable. So is absolutely unpractical be behind a desk when you are operating something very as an executor. Instead, if you are in charge, is giving you the posture, the blazer is giving you the posture, the skirt is giving you the heel, they're giving you the, so you are feeling more empowered, and you definitely are able to conduct a pitch or whatever. Otherwise, basically, if you are not in that position, you don't need a blazer, but you can't expect one is in a loose clothes to be empowering. Definitely the dress is going to make you feel within that role, and to me is the key. I can't say without a jacket because I'm dressing up, because it gives you lifting my posture, the raising the voice, and that's why I think the attire could be powerful for that reason. There are people that are able to express themselves even they are in casual. Actually, they are more powerful in that. But I see that, for example, for people that, especially in the corporate world, in my opinion, a woman in a suit, if they're wearing brilliantly, can be more sexy than a woman that is wearing a Hollywood dress, because is showing a woman which is in control of herself, is controlling the situation, and this is very of course attractive in that sense, because power is all about the fact that you feel in control, or you are in control of a situation, and that is really exciting. So for example, Vanessa, you said that you had experience in marketing agencies. So you felt that, for example, you and your team were more productive in a casual clothing, or basically eventually you didn't really care about the fact that you are not looking into the attire anymore when you are on the workplace?
I think it's the conversation that's happening at the moment is really interesting, about how women feel when they're wearing different pieces of clothing. Like you say, like the blazer helps you sit up with more posture, you feel more confident. I just wonder why isn't this conversation including men? Like, men would never have this conversation about, you know, do the clothes wear you or do you wear them? That's just, it doesn't even enter their minds. It's interesting how the differences in gender, like we obviously think a lot about the way that the things that you wear affect your confidence, affect your personality. If a man has an ironed shirt, that's them good to go. They don't think any further than that. As long as their shirt's ironed, they feel confident to do anything in life.
Interesting.
So it's just an interesting difference between the genders, and how we can talk at great length about, oh, when you become a certain level of seniority, then you can be a little bit more expressive. I don't think that men don't think about that whatsoever. So I mean, I don't want to make this,
I would only say that what's it called, at least in finance, in in London versus New York, we used to have a guy that that was working in New York. He did eventually move to London, and everybody would make comments because his suits were a little bit more fitted, because, you know, men's suits in the States are very loose. His suits were a little bit more fitted. So they would say, oh, he's trying to be European. And he had a suit that was lined in purple, and everyone made a big deal out of it. And occasionally he would wear a pink shirt, where when you move to London, pink shirt Fridays. All the men on Fridays in finance are in pink shirts. Like that's the uniform. And when you get to a certain level, then everyone's got their Hermes tie. And I felt like the crazier the Hermes tie, the more senior they were. So if they had like a kitten playing with a ball of yarn, they were pretty senior. If they just had, you know, like diamond shapes, and they were a little bit further down the rung, but the crazier the tie was, then they could sort of get away with it. That was the extent of the self-expression.
You've also forgotten the matching socks for the men, the matching socks and ties. If they're wearing an orange tie, they will wear orange socks, or purple tie, purple socks. But I find it really interesting, actually. Sorry to intervene if that's okay, Marianna, Vanessa, just to kind of tap in there. But I think we touched on this just very briefly earlier, and I think maybe even Stacey alluded to it, that I think generally as women, and maybe I'm being too harsh here, but I do think that we judge each other a lot as women anyway, in terms of how we wear, what we wear, when we wear it, why we wear it. And you know, men perhaps look at it, judge us in a slightly different way, as if judge is even the best thing. But we as women can be each other's worst enemies, like saying, oh, you know, have you seen what she's wearing? Oh my God, you know, what is that? You know, it's just terrible. And I'm sure you've done it all. I know I've done it all. And if you hold up my hand, and I apologize for being like that, because I don't want to be that kind of woman. But we do judge each other. And I think there's a clear distinction to be made between fashion, which is very trend driven, and style. And I think, as you know, and you know, some people fall into the I'm a complete fashion follower, and they follow every single trend possible. You know, they may have the next big shoe with the most interesting heel, or the next big, extra big, like for example, these oversized, like huge blazers that are out, that like totally swarm you. You know, everybody's wearing those because they're into the fashion, but they look absolutely horrible, in my opinion, because they give you no shape, they give you no definition, that they just hang on you. And style is, I think, you know, where you start to discover yourself as an individual. And that can equally apply to men or women, you know, where style is timeless, it's classic, it's you beginning to settle into your own kind of way of, you know, dressing. And I think that's really important to make the distinction. You know, whether you're dressing, going out with friends, choosing a wardrobe for going away on holiday, or whatever. And you know, when I used to work in the city, and I saw some of how you know, my colleagues dressed and how I dressed, you know, when you walk into a room, yes, you know, you can wear a great blazer, and sometimes you can be uncomfortable depending on how well the blazer fits, what fabric is made out of. But it's also the little details that make all the difference. And it does, how you dress is an extension of who you are as a person, whether you like it or not. It really is an extension, you know. Even if you wear trainers and slouchy bottoms, the way you wear them and how you wear them is also an expression of your personal brand, your personal style, and who you are as an individual, you know. And those tracky bottoms or those trainers can have some level of interest in them, but I think, you know, I think we have to also think about how we look at each other as women, and how we judge each other as women. And, you know, should we be saying to friends who maybe are not wearing the right thing, or it doesn't suit them, look, this is just not working for you, or whatever? Should we be open like that? I don't know. You know, I think as a friend, if I wore something that was terrible, or, you know, let's say I had a piece of spinach stuck in my tooth, I would want somebody to tell me, rather than go through a whole meeting with a piece of spinach stuck in my teeth, or, you know, a piece of clothing that, you know, is like, oh my God, you know, maybe you should try and change or do something different. You know, it's just being honest and open. And Stacey's right. I think as you get older, you get more confident with your style. I know I am. I know I experimented quite a lot when I was younger, and now I know what works and what doesn't work for me. And it does come with time, and it does come with experimentation. You know, you do have to experiment. And yes, you're going to have disasters where you're going to think, oh my God, what was I thinking, when you look back on your old photos. But you know, looking back now, I'm glad I had that experience. You know, and there's also something to be said about fashion and looking back at the real old styles, like vintage fashion, which we haven't really talked about, mixing old with new. I've got so many vintage pieces in my wardrobe that work equally beautifully with modern pieces. And all you need to do is pick up a vintage garment, you know, the kind of old designer vintage garments, and you look at how they are made and how they sit and the fabrics. Oh my God, you know, they don't make clothes like that, you know, today, not in the mainstream, at least anyway, you know. And so it's just those little things that even when you pick the garment and what you choose to buy is the quality, that in itself also gives you the confidence when you wear it, because you know you're wearing something really special, something incredible, and it makes you feel amazing, you know, rather than something that costs $9.99 versus maybe you spending a little bit more and it makes you feel amazing because you know it's going to last and you feel good in it. So yeah, so I think, you know, as women, we should definitely be a little bit less judgmental, or if anything, help each other along if we think there's something like, okay, this is not working for you, you know, as friends, and not be judgmental at all in any other.
But I think we should be less judgmental towards ourselves, because if because, for example, as you, as Stacey were saying, with age, definitely you are going to be more comfortable for who you are, and you say like, I am what I am, you like it or not, this is me. Now, before, no, you're trying to like be, you know, everybody like you, trying to please everybody, to be, you know, seen as glamorous or interesting for the way you wear things and stuff. But I have realized myself, I don't want to be imprisoned by my own style sometimes, because even people is expecting a style from you. That is a hard job, trying to always be true to yourself, because saying, okay, this is my style, this is, forget about it. Today, I want to wear this, even it's not my best color, but I feel like I'm protecting myself. Actually, I don't want to show up. Actually, I want to be a little bit reserved. I don't want to be seen. So I think is a lot of psychological approach behind the way you want to be seen. So wearing the right colors. And sometimes I think we know eventually, and Stefania maybe can prove this, what are our best color. We're trying just to hide ourselves. Maybe we are living a period of our time where we don't want to be seen, and actually we want to be invisible. So we don't know, because it's an unconscious status, a state of mind, but eventually you trying to protect yourself wearing the wrong things, and you are hiding yourself. When you are ready, and maybe Stefania can, and then we can close this, when we're ready, I think everything's going to open, you know, our eyes, and we can start seeing things. What is your experience, Stefania, in this respect?
No, absolutely. Before I was talking about standing out, but actually some clients of mine, when they started to have a personal style consultation, they told me, I'd rather not to stand out. I want to feel good, but I don't want to be the one who stand out. So you come across all these different situations. And I just wanted to say briefly that there is a very close connection between the way we look and the way we feel. And so this is really important, because despite the trends, despite what people might think of us, despite everything, the dress code which we were mentioning before, we need to feel good. And we can wear, as someone was saying before, trainers and jogging trousers and feel absolutely amazing. We can feel absolutely, you know, awful. So even with the same styles, even with the same combinations, two people might act differently. And this is absolutely influencing the way they come across.
Interesting. Absolutely. I love it. I like it very much. Because yeah, and if you think about, yes, there are people that have to be front line and others that have to be behind, so they're comfortable not be seen. And I respect them. I respect the ones that are on the front line and they want to, you know, to stand out, and you need really to be stronger, powerful, and you know exactly what you're doing to be in that position. So I think the attire, whatever is going to be classic, elegant, chic, attractive, or be like a uniform, as long as you are comfortable in it, you can do amazing thing. And despite what others say, but going back to Bozina, I really think she's correct. We should start in accepting other styles, so welcoming them, and also not be judgmental with our own style, saying I should wear this, she's amazing in that, I should wear the same to be amazing as well. No. And Stefania,
it doesn't work like that.
Exactly.
It doesn't work like that. No.
So maybe it's more a way how to know each other, know ourselves through our styling. Anyway, I would like to thank everybody for this. I hope you had good a topic to think on, and I really appreciate everybody with your contribute, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Thank you from WoW.
Bye.
Ciao, ladies.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.